Hi, I'm Jim Muncie, and I'm going to share with you today a time-saving tip that'll help you keep some of the clutter out of your life. One of the biggest things that keeps us from throwing things away is the fear that we may need it someday. There's no place that's more true than when it comes to the papers and the receipts and the bills that come into our life. These pieces of paper can pile up, and before we know it, we have this huge stack of paper that we have to go through and figure out what to keep and what to throw away. The solution is a temporary drawer that we load from the top and we unload from the bottom. See, most of the papers that we keep have a limited shelf life. There are some papers that we're going to need to keep forever. For example, our kid's birth certificate or the deed to the house. We don't put that in our temporary drawer. We keep that in a separate place. And some papers we can throw away immediately. For example, that advertisement we got in the mail or the magazine we read. We can just go ahead and toss that immediately. But most of the papers that we get fall into the category that if I'm going to need them, I'm going to need them in the next couple of months. And if I don't need them in the next couple of months, I never will need them. Those are the papers that we put into our temporary drawer. Let me show you how it works. This is my temporary drawer. As you can see, it's full. For the last few months, I've been tossing stuff in there every time I've had something like a bill that I've paid or a receipt for something that I've purchased at the store. And it's been stacking up and stacking up over the months. Now, here's what I know. Everything in that drawer has a shelf life of only a couple of months. And they've been piling up in there for the last 4 months or so. So everything in the top half of the drawer is less than 2 months old. Everything in the bottom half of the drawer is more than 2 months old. So since the papers only have a 2-month shelf life, all I need to do is get rid of the bottom half of this drawer, and then I'll have plenty of space to start stacking stuff in for the next couple of months. So here's what I do. I take the paper from the top half of the drawer, all the receipts, all the old bills, and I take it and I set it aside. And then what I do is I take all of the papers from the bottom half of the drawer and I, without even looking at them, toss them in the trash. I got rid of all of that clutter without even having to look at it. And then I take the papers from the top half of the drawer, put them back in, and now I've got half of a drawer to fill again. That's the temporary drawer, and that's an easy way to help keep clutter out of your life. Now, not only do I have a temporary drawer at my home office, I also have a temporary drawer at my work office. But the concept doesn't just apply to papers, it also works for computer files and old emails. There's so many computer files that I get and so many old emails that I get that fall into the same category that if I need them, I'm going to need them in the next month or two. And if I don't use them in the next month or two, I'll never need them. So I also have folders in my email program. I have folders on my computer for these temporary files. They're sorted by date. I toss things in there, and then on a regular basis, I just go to the older files and toss them out without even looking at them. The older emails and toss them out without even looking at them. So for example, if I get an agenda for a meeting in an email, well, I'm going to need that agenda perhaps between now and the meeting. But after the meeting, I'll never need that agenda again. So I toss it into the temporary computer file, and I just leave it there. And then it kind of falls its way down towards the bottom over time as newer files are put in. And then one day I'll just go in and delete all the older files. It's a way to keep the clutter off of your computer, keep the clutter out of your life without having to spend all of your time sorting through the old files, sorting through the old papers, sorting through the old receipts, etc. Give the temporary drawer a try. Give the temporary files on your computer a try and see if it works for you as well as it's worked for me. For other great time-saving tips, visit jimmuncie.com on the internet.